All right, everybody, it's John. We are looking at how to trade the close. It is 2:30 p.m. Central. This happens to be January 20th. And you can see that the markets, of course, the markets are down 2% today. They had the Greenland and the tariffs and all the things happening. So we gapped down. We had the move into 940, which is typically a fade. And from here, we traded sideways, sideways, sideways. And then we had, sell programs just kick in. And now here we are at 6,800. Down 140 points on the day. And so oftentimes you get the last 30 minutes of the day, it's like, okay, well, what are the opportunities here? And so the two things I'm looking at is that, one, you're looking for, okay, we're going to get a short covering rally. Well, a lot of times on something like that, you're going to need to have to see a lot of things come together. But first of all, today, the VIX has just been going straight up all day long. A little bit of respite at the open, but it's going up. As long as the VIX is up there, we ain't rallying. The ticks have been under pressure all day. This is the zero line. We've been spending all day below zero for the most part. And when you get things like that, you're just not going to get rallies into the close. If we do look at things like, on the 15-minute chart here, this is a voodoo line. That's a pretty strong level on the futures. That's about 68.30. It's likely that could hold. But you can see that we're just pausing here and chewing away. So the idea here that we could get a little bit of a flush into the close. And then last but not least, what I look for in the last 30 minutes for a trade is just any gamma structure. And so right now you can see there's the biggest positive gamma is at 67.95. If this holds, typically that means we're going to end up closing at 67.95 or lower. And a lot of times you could pin at this. So 67.90 to 67.95 at this point is looking like a good target for the close. And the easiest way to play that is you look for asymmetric risk to reward, and that is typically with a put debit spread. So if I look at something like that in the last 10 minutes or so, I can come over here and just say, okay, if we're looking for 67.90 and we're currently at 67.97, then we can come over here and say, okay, well, what's the price of the 67.95 put? And then if I bought the 67.90, and you can see it's like $1.60. And that's not bad if you just let it cash settle, and if we were going to close at 67.90, then it closes at 5, and that's actually a pretty good risk to reward. Oftentimes what I do on something like this is, since it's only 2:30, is I'll see this and I'll put it in an order for like 80 cents. Because there's going to be back and forth, the premium will erode, and then that way, if I, on something like that, if you get it for 80 cents, and then you're able to, and it rolls over and it cash settles at $5, that's a pretty good risk to reward, good return for about 20 minutes worth of work. So that's what we'll be looking for today, and I will be posting that into our Mastering the Trade room, where we like to do those kind of shorter term trades. All right, let me bring this back up. So now, as we just kind of look at the structure of the close, you can see, of course, all these heavy sell programs that we had right here. And when you see something like that, that's when you're kind of getting the flushes. Right now, everything is kind of neutral, so we're not seeing any. And it's actually slightly positive. And the fact that we're slightly positive and the indexes can barely move, that's super bearish. Now, this is on the SPX, and this is reflective of the NYSE. If we look over here at the NASDAQ selling continues to be horrendous. And the S&Ps, of course, 30% of it is Mag 7, and if they're if tech's selling, S&Ps aren't going anywhere either. So sometimes you might see something neutral on NYSE or a positive, and you're like, man, why can't this thing get going? And oftentimes that's because of tech. And so at this point, you're looking for is you kind of maybe get a little bit of a slight rally in a 240, and we'll see if we can kind of flush into the close, and that's what we're looking at this moment. So we'll come back here in a minute and see how it turned out. All right, markets are closed. We ended up at 67.96, so right in between that 6,800 and 67.90. Some days like this, you get kind of a flush, and I was looking to see if we might get a little bit more of a flush, but we did end up right around here. So for tomorrow, we do have Netflix earnings after the close. For tomorrow, a lot of times on days like this, you start off with a gap up, but beware. Any gap up, you can usually fade, meaning you can wait about 15 minutes and look to buy puts that typically won't last. There's certainly been some technical damage in this market, and it's going to take more. It's going to take more than one little bounce to kind of repair it. And it reminds me kind of back what we saw in April when we got. Let's see, where was the break? Oh, that was not that one. If we go back to April, you'll see right about here where you had that break, and then the next day you just kind of kept going. Now that was a little bit more news driven than I think what we are experiencing right now. But what I would see is on something like this is that I'm trying to find a good example here, looking at the candles, and let's see. But this is kind of an example here. So you saw this big down day, and then the next morning we did gap up, kind of pushed up, but then ended up making a lower low. That's a pretty common pattern after a day like this, and so that's what I'll be looking at for tomorrow. Okay, hope it helps. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you at the next update.
Hey, John here with Simpler Trading. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, comment down below and let us know what topic you want to see us cover next. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you can get notified when we release new videos. And if you want to watch us trade in real time using our own money, go to simplertrading.com and learn how to sign up. Good trading, and we'll see you next time.